Direct News TV. June 21, 2023. Furious resistance, Ukraine's counteroffensive slowed by Russia. Ukraine pressed counteroffensives on four main fronts during the 69th week of the war but made frustratingly slow progress because of stiff resistance from Russian defensive positions. During a telethon on June 19, Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar said over the previous week Ukrainian recaptured territory climbed to 113 square kilometers, 44 sq miles, only 13 square kilometers, 6 sq miles, more than what Ukraine claimed it reconquered a week earlier. The Russians are putting up a furious resistance, she said, pointing out that Russian troops fired an estimated 5,800 artillery rounds and 277,000 bullet rounds in just a week. Ukraine's offensives were focused on Bakhmut and Donetsk city in the east. In the south, at the border between Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia regions, Ukraine advanced 7 kilometers, 3 miles, into Russian-held territory towards Melitopol, and it maintained an open front in western Zaporizhzhia, south of Orikhiv. Maliar estimated that killed or wounded Russians 4,600 and destroyed equipment at 400 pieces of hardware. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said Ukrainian forces launched 263 attacks against Russian positions since June 4. All attacks have been repelled, he said. But Maliar was defiant on Telegram. The biggest blow is yet to come. One must not measure the result of the work of the defense forces exclusively by settlements and kilometers traveled. The ongoing operation has several tasks and the military is carrying out these tasks, she wrote. She may have been referring to suspected Ukrainian strikes at ammunition depots far behind the Russian front lines. Repeated explosions at Rykov, in the Kherson region, were suspected to come from a Russian warehouse. Targets neutralized. Russia also claimed to have inflicted material losses. The leader of the We Are Together with Russia movement in Zaporizhzhia, Vladimir Rogov, said Russian long-range weapons struck Ukrainian ammunition warehouses in Zaporizhzhia city, which lies in free Ukraine, citing a series of explosions there, inflicting a blow on the counteroffensive. Russia's defense ministry said it successfully struck depots of Western-manufactured military hardware using sea-launched precision missiles, without saying where they had struck. All the assigned targets have been neutralized, it said. Ukraine's position is whatever delays it might have suffered, its counteroffensive has made gains and suffered no territorial losses. We have no lost positions. Only liberated ones. They have only losses, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a video address. Ukraine's general staff said Russia was focusing its attacks in the directions of Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Mariinka. Ukrainian Ground Forces Commander Oleksandr Syrsky said Russia was prioritizing the defense of Bakhmut. Despite the advance of our troops in the south and the loss of territory and settlements in this direction, the enemy continues to move some of the most combat-capable units to the Bakhmut direction, he said. His forces were dominating high ground and forested areas as part of a strategy to gradually push Russian forces out of Bakhmut, Syrsky said. Russia's defense ministry said the fiercest fighting was in Zaporizhzhia, south of Orikhiv, where Ukraine launched waves of attacks by mechanized battalion groups, which were repelled. Russia claims it destroyed 9 tanks and 20 armored fighting vehicles. Ukraine's southern forces said they were advancing and capturing enemy equipment, suggesting Russian forces might be retreating in disarray in places. The enemy is fiercely resisting, moving units and troops, using reserves, so we have positive dynamics, said its press center. Ukraine also emphasized Russian manpower shortages. Eastern military spokesman Serhiy Cherevity said Russian forces in Lyman use a mixed group, which includes motorized rifle units and airborne units and units of the Combat Army Reserve, as well as territorial troops. Storm Z units of prison inmates were being thrown into this mix. He also said Russian forces in Lyman were using obsolete T-62 tanks, some of which had been destroyed. Russia's defense ministry, on the other hand, prioritized announcements of destroyed Western equipment. Ukraine's allies have donated more than 250 tanks and hundreds of armored fighting vehicles, touted by Western military analysts as superior to anything in the Russian arsenal. Russia said its forces repelled 4 attacks by a battalion tactical group in southern Donetsk near Novodonetskoy on June 18, destroying 35 tanks and some 70 armored fighting vehicles, including Bradley fighting vehicles and Stryker armored personnel carriers provided by the United States. Its defense ministry said its forces also destroyed Bradley fighting vehicles and German-provided Marder APCs on the bank of the Dnipro River in Kherson. Russian soldier Andrei Kravtsov was awarded $1 million rubles, $12,000, for allegedly destroying a German-built Leopard tank during a special operation. Ukraine did not confirm or deny these alleged losses. Ukraine's allies gradually shifted to longer-term pledges of military and financial assistance, evidently foreseeing a long war. During the 13th meeting of the Contact Group on Ukraine at Ramstein in Germany, Canada pledged $500 million in new funding, 288 AIM-7 air-to-air missiles, artillery ammunition, training, and maintenance for F-16s, among other things. Denmark approved a 4th military aid package for Ukraine worth €2.95 billion for 2023 to 2028. The US, UK, Denmark, and the Netherlands pledged hundreds of air defense missiles. Norway, Germany, and Denmark announced multi-year pledges. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen proposed a budget of €50 billion to assist Ukraine over the next 4 years. The pledge was unveiled at a 2-day London conference for the raising of funds to rebuild Ukraine. Shoigu announced Ukraine planned to use US-made HIMARS and UK-made Storm Shadow missiles against annexed Ukrainian territory. Deployment of these particular missiles out of the Special Military Operation Zone will be regarded as direct involvement of the USA and UK in the conflict and will result in immediate retaliatory strikes at decision-making centers in Ukraine territory, Shoigu warned. It was unclear where Russia would consider the use of these missiles legitimate. Russia formally annexed Crimea in 2014, and Russian President Vladimir Putin formally annexed the 4 regions of Ukraine he partially controls, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson, on September 30, following referenda denounced as illegitimate by the West. Zelensky said the long-range Storm Shadow missiles provided by Britain were now doing a very useful and accurate job at the front, without specifying whether they had been used in the strike on the ammunition depot at Rykov. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.